Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever or whenever you happen to be listening to this. Thank you for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja based event and wedding photographer, Tavishima Ayede. At the last episode, I took a detour to explain in the fuller context what I mean whenever I say on the podcast or whenever I run into you guys, dear listeners, in person, when I say that nobody wants to be sold. So that was what the last episode was about. It took a detour to clarify the fuller context in what it is that I mean when I say that, and how it's not meant to discourage or to be a dampener. So today I would like to return to the topic that we had been discussing prior. That's looking at professionalism, business communications, and networking. And so, still on professionalism, we had run through a couple of definitions. What's a profession? What does professionalism mean? And try to open you guys up to the interesting developments that are going on in Lagos and Abuja concerning professionalization, which is the process through which those of us who have a skill or a trade eventually transform itself, or rather transform ourselves into an occupation of high integrity and competence. An occupation of high integrity and competence. And so there are moves in that regards because you check over on Facebook groups and WhatsApp photography groups, Telegram photography groups, whatever your thing is, even if you guys hang on Twitter, this whole thing about photographers talking about, look, we need to get together, we need to protect ourselves, we need to regulate how much we charge. I would have liked it if a lot of the conversation sometimes is around quality control and things like that, but pretty much it's around price protection, at least for photographers anyway. And with all these feelings in the air, we have lots of things already. Lots of things on the move. People trying to form photography associations or wedding photography associations. I know that before I left Lagos about maybe 8 years ago, there was already a Lagos Professional Photographers Association or something like that. I can't remember. It had already been on for a few years. It didn't seem to have a lot of buy-in, at least for those of us who are in the wedding industry space. So we are going to see a lot of those moves every now and then because our industry is in the, at least in Nigeria anyway, it's in the nascent stage, it's in a very early stage. So we're going to see a lot of these moves for people who want more standardization and best practices, even if it starts at first, because people are looking at trying to, in a cartel-like fashion, trying to determine or to guarantee a certain level of income. Eventually, we're going to see a lot of moves towards professionalization. So, you guys, dear listeners, pay attention to these sorts of things going on. And it's not just a wedding photography thing. I'm sure you wedding planners have been hearing similar talk in your own circles. Like I mentioned, the initiative that at least when you speak to people on one-on-one, on a one-on-one basis, it looks like the initiative is tied towards the brains at the wedding guru outfit, because I think there's some association in a loose sense anyway, where people are on a WhatsApp group. I'm not a member of the group, so I'm not sure which direction it's taking, whether it's taking the direction of crowd control or whether it's about education and the transfer of best practices. Let's see what else, and then just some talk here and there. So there are things going on not just in the wedding photography space, but in the wedding planning space, in the decor space, definitely. I haven't caught a whiff of anything for cake artists. So, but just keep your ear to the ground because you're going to have a lot of this in the years to come, and that's professionalization. So that's the process that we are going through right now. That's where we are as an industry, at least in Nigeria. Our older brothers and sisters in North America and in the United Kingdom have already they've already bit the bullet, and so they're much more. What will I say? They have more thriving entities in this regard that are pushing forward the whole process of professionalization. So I hope with all this talk of professionalization, professionalism, and profession, that we now understand that the crux of being a true professional is about standards and best practices. So let me see if I can answer two questions. Now, what are the standards and the best practices expected in the wedding industry? Not just from a local perspective, but from an international perspective, and what are the trends that we can see relating professionalization? That is us transforming ourselves into an occupation of high integrity and competence. So, with this in mind, I have some case studies that I would like us to look at. You remember that a few moments ago I mentioned that our older brothers and sisters in North America and in Western Europe have already gotten a leg up on this. And so we have, should I say, they have the Wedding Industry Professionals Association, WIPA. I've heard some people try to refer to it as WIPA on podcast, but I don't know if that acronym has caught on. But if you want to search it out, you should be looking for the WIPA, the Wedding Industry Professionals Association. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I checked them up. I think this is an American initiative that also has a United Kingdom, what will I say? I'm not sure chapter or charter is the right word, but whatever it is, whatever the legal term is, for those of you who are into law, or who have your professional backgrounds in law, I'm sure when you reach out, you can advise properly on what the legal standing of the UK body is. So anyway, one reason why I like looking at the WIPA and in our in-person sessions why I like to bring it up is because unlike the move towards professionalizing the industry in Nigeria amongst wedding photographers that seem to be coming at it from a money perspective, that look, let's get together. Nobody ever says a cartel, but it kind of looks like a cartel. Let's get together, let's get this cartel going. And if you're 0 to 5 years in the business, charge 150k flat. If you're 5 to 10 years, charge 350 to 500. If you're this to this year, charge 800k. If you're this to this year, charge 1.5 mil. If you're this to this, I'm just pulling figures out of thin air. I'm not a member of any of these groups, and quite frankly, I stay clear of them because I really don't think coming together to form cartels is the way forward. It hasn't really worked for OPEC or any other cartels that we have in the world, regardless of what the industry is. So I think we should learn how to sell, we should learn how to distinguish ourselves, and that's the best path for optimum profit. So getting together to go and form cartels, I don't think is the way to go. Anyway, I digress. So the reason why I find the WIPA interesting is because they're coming at it from a different angle. So this is not about price regulation. The WIPA is concerned mainly with ethical standards. Okay, so I hope you guys can see the difference. So it's not about let's guarantee our income. It's about ethical standards, and if we have the right morals, the right character, and the right conduct in the profession, then we should all be making a huge chunk of money. So that's how it is tied together. So if you're going to sign up to the WIPA, apart from the fact that you have to be resident in a place where they have a chapter. So I don't know if the WIPA now has a Nigerian chapter, but the last time that I looked at them, about maybe 2 or 3 years back, there wasn't a Nigerian chapter. So, if any of you know about moves to set one up, please reach out, let me know so I can share it here on the podcast so that we all have the information that we need if we're interested in these sorts of things. So they are interested in ethical standards, and so you'll be expected to keep to a WIPA code of ethics, and the goal of it is to build good business practices to protect the practice against fraud and unfair practices, because they have recognized, starting in North America, that unsuspecting members of the public are really put through a lot of abuse. You think you're getting a professional photographer, but the person just puts it on some sport shooting mode or something, and then does spray and pray, and then after the wedding they give you a disc of 5,000 images, and you're supposed to sort it out yourself. So they recognize that this kind of behavior hurts the industry, where you don't have people using good business practices. And so in some cases it's outright fraud, and in some cases it's just unfair. But bottom line is, if you're going to build WIPA, you are looking to deciding for yourself, for your industry, for the business, what are good business practices, and how are we going to protect the public against fraud and unfair practices. Then they also have this thing about having written contracts so that everybody understands performances, and the customers, our brides and grooms, not only understand what it is that we promise to give, but they also understand all the charges, and everything is in black and white, and so there's very little room for quarrel. For those of you who've been listening for a while, of course, you know what my opinions are on written contracts, so I'm not going to rehash that. But for those of you who are newbies and this is the first time that you're listening to the podcast, then no worries there. I'm sure you're going to listen to later episodes in time, and so you will come across that. So they also urge confidentiality, and they want everyone to understand that when you interact with clients, that these communications are privileged. Now, what privilege means in a professional context is that the information that is divulged is just for your own purposes, and so you don't divulge them to third parties. So I have a very engaging nature when it comes to sales and marketing. So by the time I have shot the wedding, I know quite a bit about the family. I know names, I know dates of birth, I know ages, I know addresses, I know people's occupation, things like that. So I'm expected to keep all this information privileged. So I shouldn't go around running my mouth that I photographed Governor so and so, and while we were there at the wedding, this is what they were saying about PDP and APC, and this is where the country is moving, and blah blah blah. So I'm supposed to keep things privileged, basically. Then WIPA also has the thing about insurance coverage for your business activities, something that I endorse. We can talk about that some more in the future. They also have some stuff about keeping in line with government regulations. Let's see what else. Managing your what else? Managing databases, employee rights, and a whole bunch of stuff. It's very long, so you have to go onto the website to have a look at everything. And when you get associated with, for those of you who are interested, if they open up Abuja chapters, Nigerian chapters, and you sign up, by all means, reach out, let me know how it's going, and let me know what you think the benefits are to being members of this association. Now, for other case studies, I found two other organizations, one being the Association of Professional Party Organizers and Event Managers. Yes, that is a mouthful. Of course, like you would expect for an association with such a long acronym, that is the APPOEMN. Again, I repeat, the APPOEMN. Association of Professional Party Organizers and Event Managers. This is a Nigerian organization. So check them out, see what else you can find about that, to see what moves that we have here. But it seems, if I remember correctly, I think they seem to focus more on the lighting, sound, people who are involved in much more of the protocol aspect of events. So it seems heavily geared towards them. So there wasn't a whole lot I could see there about photography, but plenty about stage lighting, about sound, set design, and stuff like that. So, so for those of you who are involved in those sorts of things, like if you're a DJ and you also offer sound services, you lease your sound equipment to brides and grooms, or maybe you consult on sound design and things for larger weddings. Because like I heard that for Dangote's daughter's wedding, that was a huge affair, thousands of people. So in that case, sound design and coordination will be an important thing. So if you're one of those people who play at that level, so I guess this is the organization for you to look at. Again, it's the Association of Professional Party Organizers and Event Managers. That is the APPOEMN, a Nigerian body. And the last case study that I'm going to look into is the International Live Events Association. This is also a Nigerian organization. It was founded in 1987 in the United States of America, and so they have Nigerian chapter or a Nigerian charter. Again, for those of you who like to cross your T's and dot your I's on these legal things, when you reach out, you'll advise me accordingly on what the legal form of the Nigerian version of these organizations are. So that's the International Live Events Association Nigeria, and their website is ileanigeria.com. There's no space. So that is ileanigeria.com. Founded in 1987 in the USA. Now, another reason why I like to bring these people up is because they're also in sharp contrast to what we see that is going on here in Lagos and Abuja, where photographers want to band together just because they want to guarantee price. So engage in cartel behavior to guarantee price. So this is one of those organizations that is coming at it from a different angle. There's a different spirit to this. So for this organization, the focus here seems to be on knowledge transfer. So that's the idea that all of us get together from time to time. For those of us who have been involved in industry for a while, for a decade, there's stuff that we can teach to those people who are just coming in, who've only been there for 2 years. For those people who have been in for 20 years, there's stuff that they can teach those of us who are 10-year vets, creativity. So as relates to photography, lots of education on technique. This is how we light, this is how we frame, this is how we compose. If I'm going to be involved in those sorts of things, I'd be much more interested in the business aspect. So I would be giving talks about this is how we market, this is how we sell, this is how we follow through, this is how we follow up, this is how we organize a sales consultation. So those sorts of things. So the ILEA, they are focused on knowledge transfer, on education, and then creating a network of partnerships that professionals can rely on. So you wedding planners, you guys will all know each other. You can rely on each other. You can call each other out when you need help or when you need support in executing really big tickets. Like I heard that like I said, supposedly the Dangote wedding was a couple thousand people. So it was more of a consortium of wedding planners that ran the whole thing, and not one wedding planner per se. This information that I'm giving to you guys is just them say. So don't quote me. That is what I heard about how everything was organized. I wasn't there. I wasn't one of those vendors. But yes, it is possible that for some of these really big gatherings, it's not going to be one event planner per se, but a consortium. And so, yeah, so that's it. That's the reason why I use these three organizations in my case studies when we're having in person trainings, because I want people to see and appreciate the different motives that some people go through when we're looking at this whole thing about professionalization. So it shouldn't just be the Abuja or the Lagos photographer mentality, the whole thing of, you know what, we're not making enough money as we should, let's get together, let's standardize, let's register. Anybody who breaks rank and who is not charging the fees we agree, we should penalize them. So it's not always about the money. You can come at it from different aspects, but of course, no matter the route that we take, we're going to end up having more money. Because take the International Live Events Association, the Nigerian chapter, you're focusing on knowledge transfer. If there's knowledge transfer and we teach everybody what it is that we know, we raise the level of the game, we raise the level of professionalism. So overall, we will be able to charge more. This whole thing of people meeting some people and saying, you know what, let me just go and meet the anyhow photographer. Those anyhow photographers won't exist if we all raise the bar. So you can see how going at it from knowledge transfer at the end of the day could raise the level of money that we all can make in the business. So for those of you who still believe in the cartel-like mentality, it's not like I can stop you guys. So go ahead. But I really don't think it's going to solve anything. You guys getting together to try and corner and protect your own little slice of the market. So, but let's think about professionalism in much more broader perspectives, like our brothers in the ILEA who are thinking about knowledge transfer, or our other brothers in the WIPA, the Wedding Industry Professional Association, and they are concerned mainly with ethics, moral standards, character, and those sorts of things. Anyway, we've pushed past the 15-minute mark, so I'll just wrap it up here. I'll bring this part to a close. The case studies on what best practices and professional standards, and also what moves are out there on a global level and also on a local level. What do we see when we talk about professionalization, and which kind of bodies are coming up, and what are the ideas behind these things? So at the next recording, I will go back to my working definition approach, where I have what I think is my own unique definition of profession, and that is by just looking at what Nigerians mean, or Nigerian parents mean, when they say, why don't you become a professional, or why don't you study professional courses, which is just shorthand for saying, why don't you become a lawyer, an accountant, a doctor, or an engineer. So let me wrap it up here today. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer Tabishima Ayide. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I will catch you guys on the next episode.